Today we're taking a look at the Mamiya 645 to Canon EOS R tilt rocker tilt shift adapter. This is a lens adapter for adapting a vintage Mamiya 645 medium format lens to a Canon EOS R RF mount camera. And it's not just a lens adapter, it also has built-in tilt shift technology to turn your adapted Mamiya 645 lens into a tilt shift lens. Now this is part of our Pro line of lens adapters. It's an all metal design, very durable. As you can see here, it has a tripod foot. It's also Arca Swiss compatible, so you can mount this directly on an Arca Swiss tripod. This is the front of the adapter. This is where you mount your Mamiya 645 lens. You can see it's a durable all metal design. The interior of the adapter is painted with a non-reflective black paint that reduces light bouncing around inside of the adapter. You also have some flocking on the inside here. That's also for reducing any sort of light bounce. Then on the back here, this is the part that mounts to the camera. Again, all metal design, very durable, a very tight fitting adapter. And overall, this adapter has a very nice refined design to it, a very nice finish, so it'll fit right in with your pro level cameras and lenses. Now this isn't just for adapting a lens, it also adds tilt shift functionality to a lens, and I'll show you that right now. This silver button right here is our shift button, and when we press it down, we can actually shift the lens right or left. It has 20 millimeters of shift, so you can shift your lens, or you can just leave it in the center there, just to keep it a standard adapter without any shift effects. And then if you want to tilt the lens, you just loosen this gold knob right here, and you can tilt up to 10 degrees. And as you can see, the adapter only tilts down, but that's okay. You can move your tilt wherever you want it in your shot, because there's this little gold button on the other side, and this is to rotate the tilt 360 degrees. So you can actually rotate it completely around the axis of your camera's sensor. So you can put the tilt or shift effects anywhere you want in your shot. Now you might ask, how am I able to adapt this vintage Mamiya 645 medium format lens to this modern full frame mirrorless camera? And the answer is very simple. It's the flange distance. Flange distance is how much space is required between where a lens mounts and where your film plane or digital sensor begins. In the case of medium format lenses like this Mamiya 645, it's a lot of space. There needs to be a lot of flange distance for all of the mechanics of a medium format Mamiya 645 camera. With the Canon EOS R camera, however, the flange distance is much shorter. Where we put the EOS R lens versus where we put the digital sensor is very short. That means we've got a lot of extra space between where we need to put the Mamiya 645 lens and where the sensor of the EOS R camera sits, and that gives us the space to put an adapter. So when we adapt lenses with longer flange distances to cameras with shorter flange distances, we are able to put an adapter, and we're able to create different kinds of adapters like a tilt shift adapter. Now this adapter is compatible with the majority of Mamiya 645 medium format lenses. It'll work with a lens like this or a lens like this, pretty much most of the range of Mamiya 645 lenses. The only lenses this adapter will not work with are Phase 1 Mamiya 645 lenses. These are the most modern versions of this lens mount, and they're just a bit too tight. They won't fit on this adapter. So if you're looking to get this adapter, just make sure you have a standard Mamiya 645 lens. Make sure it is not a Phase 1 lens, and as long as it's not a Phase 1 lens, it will work with this adapter. Now these Mamiya 645 lenses are fully manual lenses. You focus them manually, you control the aperture with a manual aperture control wheel on the side of the lens, so you won't get any electronic communication between this adapted lens and your Canon EOS R camera. As you can see, this is a fully manual adapter. We have no electronic communication pins on the front or the back. So when you're using this adapter and a Mamiya 645 lens on your Canon EOS R camera, you will have to manually adjust the focus and manually adjust your aperture. You won't get any auto aperture or autofocus functionality. So basically you'll be shooting manually with these types of lenses. Now, before we adapt this Mamiya 645 lens to our adapter, there is one thing to address, and that is aperture control. Currently, as I turn this aperture control wheel, you'll see it is not opening or closing the aperture. And you might wonder, why is that the case? Why isn't this manual control working to control the aperture? And that's because we have to set this lens for manual aperture control. Currently, it is set to auto aperture control. It's set so it will be controlled by a Mamiya 645 camera, and we need to turn that off so we can use it with our manual adapter, because our camera and adapter will not be communicating with the lens, so we do have to set it to manual. On this specific lens, you can see right here, there is a little lever. Currently, it's set to A for auto. We just need to set it to M, and once we have it set to M, now we can adjust the aperture. You can see it is opening and closing. So we can adjust it. Now we have full manual control of the aperture. So before you adapt one of these Mamiya 645 lenses to one of our adapters, just make sure you have the lens set to manual. This is a slightly different type of Mamiya 645 lens. As you'll see with this one, it's a slightly different switch. Currently it's set to A for auto. Just set it to M for manual. Once again, we can manually control the aperture. So just keep that in mind. If you're using Mamiya 645 lenses, make sure that the aperture control is set to M for manual. Okay, we're ready to adapt our Mamiya 645 lens to our tilt rocker adapter. And how we're going to do that is we're going to find the red mounting dot on the lens, which is right here. Find the red mounting dot on the adapter, which is right here. And we're just going to line them up, press the lens into the adapter, and then rotate it to lock it into place. Now we have the lens locked to our adapter, and to remove it from the adapter, we're just going to find this little silver button, and this might look like a lever, but it actually is a button. You're going to press it in, and when you press it in, it's actually disengaging the locking pin on the adapter, similar to the locking pin on a camera, and you just press and hold it, and then you can rotate the lens and remove it from the adapter. So pretty simple to mount your lens on your adapter and then remove it when you're done using it. Now people always ask, how much play is going to be between my adapted lens and adapter? How much is the lens going to rotate? And I can show you right here with this adapter. I'm rotating the lens and it is moving a little bit. You can hear it clicking, but it's very minimal rotation. We do have to have a little bit of play in the adapter so we can mount lenses on it. If there was no play, you wouldn't even be able to mount a lens on it. But yeah, it's just very slight, and it is in there very firmly. It's not rocking at all. So this is a very firm, tight fit. Your images or video will not be affected at all. It's not sagging in any way. So yeah, this is a very tight fit for an adapter. A little bit of play, but not much. Okay, now we're gonna mount the lens and adapter to our EOS R camera. It's similar to mounting the lens. You're just gonna find the red mounting dot on the adapter, find the red mounting dot on the camera, place them together, and rotate the adapter to lock it to the camera. And to remove the adapter from the camera is exactly like removing an EOS R lens from the camera. You're just going to find the lens release button, press it down, and remove the adapter. So it works just like an EOS R lens does. There we go. And let's check the play between the adapter and the camera. I'm rotating it. There's a little bit of play. Like I said, this is actually necessary for designing these adapters so they'll fit on the camera, but it's fairly minimal play. And yeah, it's in there pretty tight and it's locked down pretty good. Now, before we take a look at using this tilt shift adapter for tilt shift photography, we need to set one setting in our Canon EOS R camera. Basically, the default in EOS R cameras is for the camera to look for an EOS R lens. And if it doesn't locate one, it won't shoot. So we just need to go into the menu and tell the camera that it's okay to shoot with a manual adapter and lens. You're just going to go into this sub menu, and then you're going to go to sub menu 5. You're going to go down to release shutter without lens. You're going to enable release shutter without lens. Now you'll be able to use any adapted lens as well as any Canon EOS R third-party lens that is fully manual, that doesn't have any electronic communication. This will tell the camera not to look for a Canon EOS R lens, so you can use any lens with it. Now you'll notice that on the bottom of this adapter is a tripod foot. This tripod foot is removable, It's got a hex key right in there, so you can use a hex key to remove it. And for most of your tilt shift photography, I would actually recommend removing it because generally speaking, you want the camera to stay in a constant position and you want to be able to move the lens. So if you had the tripod foot mounted on a tripod, it does have an Arca Swiss mount there, so you could put it on Arca Swiss. If you've got this mounted on the tripod, you're going to be moving the camera instead. The lens will stay in the same place, the camera will be moving, and this will be harder to do most tilt shift effects. And another reason you might want to remove your tripod foot is, as you can see here as I'm rotating up, it's bumping into the grip of this EOS R camera. So simply removing this foot will allow me to have full 360-degree rotation. So if you're having this issue, it's super simple. Just take a standard hex key and you can remove the tripod foot. Okay, now we get to the fun part, using the shift and tilt technology built into this adapter. To shift the lens, we're going to press this silver shift button right here. We press it down and we can shift the lens all the way right, all the way left. It's got 20 millimeters of shift. And then if we want to place the shift in a different place in our photo, we just press this gold button right here to rotate the shift 360 degrees. So we can rotate it so it shifts diagonally like this. Or we can rotate it 90 degrees so it shifts up and down. So basically, with this adapter, you can place your shift anywhere you want in your shot. And shifting is great for perspective distortion correction. If you're using a wider angle lens and you're photographing a building, if you're pointing the camera up at the building, you're going to get distortion on the leading lines of the building. And to correct that, you're simply going to rotate 90 degrees and then shift up a bit. And the more you shift up, the more those leading lines that are going towards each other straighten out. And this makes for way more pleasing architecture photography. And you can even use the shift in this adapter to create a stitched panorama. You would lock your EOS R camera down, set up your shot, make sure it's in focus. Then you're going to shift one way, take a shot, shift the other way, take a second shot, and then you have two overlapping images. And when you stitch them together in post, you actually create a true panoramic image. So this is a fun and creative way to create medium format style panoramic photography without having to use a larger format panoramic camera. Okay, let's take a look at tilt photography. And the way we tilt is we just loosen this golden knob right here, and then we can tilt down up to 10 degrees of tilt. And tilting is really useful in photography if you want to control your focal plane. Your standard focal plane is going to be flat, so everything in one plane of a shot, let's say a couple of people standing in line, they'll all be in focus. But if you tilt down, you're actually taking your flat focal plane and you're tilting it. So now only a sliver of your focal plane is in focus and the top and bottom or left and right are out of focus. And if you tilt your adapted lens all the way to 10 degrees, this is going to create a very selective focus effect, especially if you're shooting wide open, if you got your aperture all the way. And this is great if you're shooting a time lapse of like people and cars moving around in a street. If you want that miniaturized effect, tilting all the way is really useful. But you don't have to tilt drastically. As you can see here, we actually have little markings that show you how far you've tilted. And with just very slight tilting, you can do minute adjustments to your focus. So let's say you're focusing on two separate objects and one is slightly farther away than the other. If you're shooting wide open, you've got a very shallow depth of field and one of your subjects will be in focus while the other one won't. But if you do a little bit of tilting, just a slight bit, you can actually get both of your subjects in focus by modifying the focal plane. So this is a great way to fine tune your focus, let's say in product photography or landscape photography. You can do a lot with selective focus adjustment. And just like the shift, you don't just have to tilt down because you can use this gold button on the side to rotate your tilt. So you can keep your tilt horizontal or you can rotate it so it is vertical. Rotate it up here so you're tilting up. So pretty much anywhere you want your tilt in your shot, you can adjust it to that position with the 360-degree control. And for even more complex effects, you can actually combine tilt and shift. So you can tilt down, shift over, and this will give you very specific looks. It's kind of like the camera movement of a large format camera. It gives you a similar type of editing effect. And click here to see a video where we look into all the different types of tilt shift effects you can do with this lens. We show demo examples, different photos and videos, pretty much all the different looks you can get with this adapter we show in this video. Our Mamiya 645 to Canon EOS R Tilt ROKR Tilt Shift adapter is compatible with all Canon EOS R cameras. It works on full frame cameras, the crop sensor cameras as well. Pretty much any EOS R camera you have, you will be able to use this adapter with it. Okay, that was an in-depth look at our Mamiya 645 to Canon EOS R Tilt ROKR Tilt Shift adapter. If you have any questions about anything I said in today's video, comment below. I'd love to help you out. And if you'd like to learn more about this adapter or any of our Tilt ROKR Tilt Shift adapters, click the links in the description below. And also let me know what kind of photography or filmmaking you would do with our Tilt ROKR Tilt Shift adapter. Would you use it to add selective focus effects to your videos? Would you use it in architecture, photography for perspective distortion correction? Comment below. I'd love to talk to you about it and see what kind of things you would do with this kind of adapter. Okay, that'll do it for today's video. Thanks for watching.